Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mark, and in this channel, I talk a bit about lifestyle, but I mostly talk about business and investments. In this video, we're going to be talking about one of your favorite GCash Ginvest investment funds, and it's the Bpi-Alfm Global Multi-Asset Income Fund. Now, videos covering this fund have actually been one of the more watched investment videos on this channel. It was late last year when I first introduced this fund to you. Previously, it was exclusively available only via BPI, but in December 2021, this fund partnered up with GCash, which opened up the opportunity to many of you guys who have been really curious about this investment fund. I previously gave you an update regarding the dividend payout of this fund. Some time has passed by. It's already been half a year. So the question is this fund continuing to perform and give us the dividend payouts that we were expecting? Let's find out. So let me pull out my records. The first good update about this fund is that BPI is actually emailing each one of us invested in this fund and letting us know of the latest performance in terms of its net asset value per unit, or the NAV pool, and also the monthly dividends that it's paying out. Now, in my first video update about this fund, you might remember that I had a hard time figuring out the dividends since there was this small trickle of money coming in, and actually had to figure out and compute before realizing that this small amount of money were in fact the dividends that BPI was declaring. So now, with the monthly email coming from BPI and GCash, we no longer have to do the guesswork. But the curious thing here is that this is actually being done by BPI only through its GCash Ginvest investors. If you are invested directly through the BPI app or BPI online, they're not giving the same kind of monthly updates. So BPI, if you can kindly also update us monthly about our dividends and performance of the fund, we'd really appreciate it. So let's move on to the meat of the matter and look at the numbers. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, guys. The performance of this fund is unfortunately down right now. But if you've been paying attention to the global markets, this should come as no surprise. You know that the global markets are currently facing a lot of challenges right now. It might be discouraging, but as shared in previous videos, these down markets are only temporary. If we will go by historical performance, these markets always tend to pick up and recover eventually. So by how much is the fund down right now? If you'd invested in this fund in January, the fund is down by nearly 7%, or precisely 6.7%. I've kept my investment in this fund via GCash to only 1,000 pesos so I can track more uniformly. So 6.7% would mean that I'm down by 67 pesos right now. I actually continue to invest in this fund, but I'm doing it through BPI, not because BPI is more advantageous than GCash. I've already shared with you that GCash is even giving us better updates regarding the performance of this fund. But again, for tracking and uniformity, I wanted to keep my investment as only 1,000 pesos in GCash, just so that I can more clearly see what's the performance of the fund in its dividend payout based on a monthly basis. While the performance of the fund may be discouraging in terms of its NAV pool, of course, the other main component of the fund is that it's paying out its monthly dividends. Now, this is what sets this fund apart from other equity or balanced funds. So for the 6 months, the dividends are as follows. For January, it's 3 pesos and 87 centavos. For February, it's 3 pesos and 91 centavos. For March, it's 3 pesos and 95 centavos. For April, it's 3 pesos and 96 centavos. For May, it's at 4 pesos and 2 centavos. And for June, it's at 4 pesos and 22 centavos. Now, what you can see here is that this fund is continuing to increase its dividend payout monthly. On average, the dividend payout is increasing by 1.76% based on a month-to-month comparison. And when comparing the most recent payout of 4 pesos and 22 centavos in June versus the 3 pesos and 87 centavos that was paid out in January, the increase from January to June is actually at 8.23%. So you could see that this fund is actually doing what it can to make up for whatever the losses that we might be experiencing in terms of the NAV pool. So this is actually common to companies who don't want to discourage investors or shareholders to be exiting from their shares of stock in a company, or in this case, in their mutual fund, again to keep us investors appeased. Unfortunately though, the total dividends for the 6 months is only at 23 pesos and 93 centavos. So while this is a good thing, it's still not enough to make up for the 6.7% loss or 67 pesos that I'm losing. But at least the dividends are softening the blow and lessening the losses that we're encountering. So that's about the performance of the fund. What's my opinion on this? Do I think again that this is a bad fund because it's just not performing right now? Well, I guess it's difficult to give a hard yes or no on this. Again, the global markets are down. We really have no control over the economic issues that are being brought upon by inflation and the current war between Ukraine and Russia that's really impacting global trade and economics. But for me, I will keep investing in this fund. While the dividends may not be enough to make up for the entire performance of the fund, eventually, the entire dividends will be the icing on the cake. I think eventually, the performance of the fund in terms of its NAV pool will eventually recover as much of the market does. I think this fund may be poised to recover, hopefully if not this year, maybe next year. But don't quote me on that. I don't have a crystal ball and no one can really tell how the global markets will perform. What do you think, guys? Are you happy with this fund or would you rather be investing in somewhere else? Share in the comment section below how much dividends you've actually gotten from this fund. If you've liked this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, guys, and happy investing.